Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, Fapsters, Fapstronauts, NoFap movement. Personally, it is me, Shadowweight, and I'm here to indiscriminately plug the ears and airwaves of cyberspace. So sit back and relax. You may use the internet. You are free to use the internet if only you listen to me. You are permitted to listen to my show. Other than that, we're going to be talking about a couple of theories of mine. I don't care. I do care if you agree or disagree. I do care, but I have to get this out. It is my personal opinion that the NoFap movement should be called the No Internet movement. Or the no internet, no alcohol, no TV, no music, no radio. Well, music is okay here and there, but now many people are going to go, "You're crazy! You're fucking nuts, man! You're insane!" You know, because that's what I like to call the offensive factor. People are going to get offended. You know, it's inconceivable that they'll stop using the internet, and that's, to me, that is a clear sign right there. If I'm saying stop using the internet and you get mad, well, to me that's a sign of addiction. That's a clear sign of addiction, in my opinion. Trust me, I've used the internet for 20 years, since '96, and so that's about 19 years. And I believe the same principles apply to the internet as far as, porn and, dopamine receptors. I mean, if you're like me, you grew up with this generation of internet, video games, Xbox multiplayer, online video games. We used to do LAN parties, video game, internet chat forums, browsing, mindless browsing, hours on end, hours and hours and hours of use. What does that do to our brains? Do we really know? This is sort of like a pioneer advent for this generation, Kind of like when they considered smoking good back in the 1930s and 40s, it was considered healthy. I think one Fapstronaut pointed that out. So we've come to a point where we have this, they say, well, the novelty of pornography. Our primitive brains were not designed to be exposed to such an endless array of partners or women, thus the adrenaline high it produces. But what about information? What about endless array of music videos, YouTube videos, finding the answers to anything we want? An endless barrage of information. Is there such thing as an information overload or an information stimulus? Well, try to quit the internet. And if that thought to you is inconceivable, then you may just be an addict. If you can't fathom the idea of, oh my God, I have to quit, then again, you may have an addiction. I know I get a lot of people that get offended when I say this. They get offended. You're crazy. You're crazy, man. That's, right there. It's like trying to take candy from, trying to take an addict away from its source. Trying to take the cocaine away from the crack addict or the pornography away from the porn user. It's an addiction. But I'm on Reddit. I'm on the Twitter community, and I come here for support, blah, blah, blah. Well, keep it to a minimal. See, our brains are wired. I believe we're wiring our brains to be socially stimulated from an invisible source. And by invisible source, I mean the invisible friends on the internet. But then you take a look at your real life, and your real life looks kind of bland, doesn't it? You say, well, real life looks kind of boring. It looks bland. I don't want to go outside. I don't want to go out and try to make friends. I don't want to go out there and make. But again, someone termed it escapism. People say, you're crazy, man. They get offended. You use the internet, making all these videos and posting, and well, the only time I use the internet is I check my email real quick. I post messages on Reddit. For instance, I'll make a recording right now. I just record my voice. I'm talking to my keyboard. I'm not even looking at the screen. I cover my screen up. That's how bad it is. That's how hardcore I am, man. I don't even look at my screen anymore. And then I'll post it on Reddit real fast, and then I'll walk away and stay off the computer for the rest of the day. It's tough. Trust me, it's hard. Why do I do this? It feels good. But feeling good doesn't necessarily mean it is good. But hopefully I just want to get this message out there. I want people to try it out. I want people to try out quitting the internet. I want them to give it a shot. It sounds crazy. I know. No more Xbox? I would even go so far as to say no more video games. No more movies. No more internet. Try it for a week. You will go crazy. But if you figure our minds are recovering from stimulus overload, possibly this can help the rebooting process. Now, I don't know if this is good or bad. I believe internet is not as bad as porn, but it's on par to a stimulation. Like I believe it wears out the dopamine receptors in certain ways. Believe me, I'm on this road too, so aside from checking my mail, posting a quick recording, or I listen to music when I work out. That's really the only times I use the internet. Check my mail real quick, post a quick recording, and then, so I don't really sit on the internet like I used to for hours on end, because that was detrimental to my recovery. And I'll tell you why, because I have a 20-day theory. Excuse me, yeah, 20 days. So basically, I went, I went 30 days without watching pornography. I did the NoFap hard mode, and after that 30 days, I watched a porn video. And it did nothing for me. It did not stimulate me. Because in that 30 days, I still used the internet. I still drank alcohol. I still watched Netflix. I was still involved in stimulation. Using the internet, going on chat rooms, forums, whatever. It was still stimulating. So then I went 2 weeks without using the internet, watching movies, playing video games, none of that. No alcohol. Well, I drank a little bit. After that 2 weeks, I watched a video. I relapsed. And it was like my brain discovered cocaine for the first time. I had the shakes. I was acting irrational. My brain went retarded temporarily. So, to me, this concludes that it isn't just pornography, it's internet stimulation. The first week is the hardest, but it gets better. So keep that in mind. If you're gonna embark on this journey, just know it gets better. Some of the improvements that you'll find when you first quit the internet, television, radio, is that you're going to have a normal sleep schedule. You're just going to go to bed early because you're going to be so bored out of your mind. You're just going to go to bed early, and that's part of it. I like to say boredom is good for you. You know, we live in a society where we can't be bored. We don't know what it's like to be bored anymore. But boredom is where the creativity, the brain healing, all the healing of the brain comes from the boredom when we're bored. And sometimes it's a suffering. You know, we feel like we're suffering because we're bored. And sometimes when we're bored, we have withdrawals. So pay attention to your boredom, because in your boredom is when the most ideas come to you, when creativity comes. And I believe when the brain heals the best. But we don't like to be bored. You go in public, you look around, you see people on their phones, twiddling away, playing video games on their phone. Like, we're living in a society where we're addicted to our phones and our stimulation and our internet. But we're not in the moment anymore. We're not present in the moment, which is a sad thing in my opinion. You're going to see increased creativity. Your anxiety should go down. Your libido should increase. Again, this is all from cutting out internet, cutting out Netflix, media, stop drinking alcohol, just all forms of stimulation. Again, I relapsed a week ago. I watched 2 hours of porn, and it's been 5 days of a living hell since then. Porn is like a kryptonite, cocaine, heroin, crack, you know. So, but it's not just porn, it's internet. So my tips for you, if you're going to try this, to do NoFap, to do no internet, no stimulation, I have a couple tips for you. Listen to music. Again, you know, I listen to music when I work out, but that's it. You know, I'll listen to music off a YouTube video, but then I'm not going to browse the internet and go, well, that helps me. Obviously meditation, everyone knows meditation works good. Being in nature, staring at nature, go for a walk. Sometimes, you know, with that first week, you don't even want to go outside of the house. I understand, you know, it's tough, but somehow if you can get yourself out to the wilderness or nature, that'll help you a lot. And if you can meditate, even more the better. What I've been doing actually is I've been making bonfires in the backyard. I'll create a little fire, and that's been helping me get through the first week. Because at night you get really bored. You just want your brain. It wants stimulation. It's addicted. You know, it wants to do things. You know, you might eat a lot of junk food, but that's okay. Don't feel bad. So I do bonfire. I was doing bonfire like 4 nights in a row, just to help me get through the night. And I would just stare at the fire. Personally, I think that masturbation is okay without porn, because you're not getting that super stimulus. But that's up to you. If you're having a rough night, I think it's okay to rub one out on a non-porn based, you know, not using porn. That, to me, that helps get you through the bad nights. Just don't make it too frequent. Let's see. Again, you know, I only recommend that if it gets really tough. Just because I believe that, I don't think it's bad. I think the whole NoFap has a misconception about masturbation being bad, but what they don't realize is it's very boring without the pornography. There's no stimulation. It's just extremely boring. I mean, once you realize that, you go, oh shit, I can't believe I don't even like doing this. But sometimes it helps to do it, to get a little bit of the chemicals running in the brain, to kind of soothe your way through your recovery in a sense, you know. there's a misconception that, fapping, all forms of fapping is terrible, but in my opinion, it's very mild. It's very without porn. Fapping without porn is like, it's very light on the brain, in my opinion. I think it's not, the porn is the problem. But in those first 3 days or 4 days, you probably don't want to do that, especially when you're. But you might have to, because if you're doing the no internet thing, no internet, no stimulation, it's very tough. Trust me. This is probably the hardest thing I've ever done. So I don't think many people are going to be able to do it, but I recommend it for a quicker recovery. I mean, there's my first 2 weeks of recovery, I was getting more creative, I was getting more energy, my anxiety was going down. I was still fapping without porn, and I was still messing around with a girlfriend. So again, these are low stimulus. It's natural. These are natural occurring things. It's not artificial like pornography, internet, stuff like that. So again, my thoughts on hard mode. Hard mode is people can do hard mode, but if you're doing hard mode, meaning complete celibacy, absolutely nothing, I think it has great benefits, tremendous benefits. But if you're doing it and you're still, spending 4 or 5 hours on the internet every other day, you're not really going to recover, in my opinion. You're not going to you're not going to recover that well. If you're still drinking alcohol very often, using the internet, if you're watching a lot of Netflix, if you're playing a lot of video games, I really think that whether you're doing hard mode or not, it's not really going to do much. Again, we're talking stimulation of the brain. We're talking dopamine. We're talking novelty, things that you do because you don't want to suffer. You don't want to face the boredom. You don't want to go through the withdrawals, but you're going to have to do it. You're going to have to go through the shakes. You're going to have to go through the boredom, the withdrawals. You're just going to have to do it. That's the only way your mind will clear itself and recover. And so it's tough, but there's a light at the end of the tunnel. And like I said, read magazines, good magazines. There's a lot of anime. There's a lot of manga comic. If you like anime, there's comics. Read comic books. Read a book. Read something informative. Don't go on Wikipedia, because then you're just gonna start browsing the internet. You're gonna still feed the addiction. Just read a book. Read something in real life. There's just something about the internet, that screen, the glow of the screen and the typing. It just becomes addictive. What else? There's play chess. What I like to say is, what if it was the 1900s? What if it was the 1800s? And the only thing you had was the entertainment of the time. Before the internet, before television, what would you do? Our ancestors did it somehow. So think of that one. This is Shadow Wade, and thank you for listening.